Howdy. Okay, so luckily in the summers I usually have a little bit more free time, and I usually try to redo each of these projects myself during the summer. So I have in this video an example. This is an example that I just did, and basically I found some old prisoner photos online, and I took this image of this. Either I'm honestly not sure if she's Asian or Hispanic descent, but I took this image of this lady and I put it in a frame and put some wallpaper behind it and put some color in it. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm not totally sure that I'm happy with how the hair is. Let me just real quick just reduce the opacity of my hair a little bit. I'm not sure if that does anything or not. Maybe I will do a little bit more of a brown instead of a black. Let's see. Okay, so it's a little bit more brown. Maybe that works. I don't know. But so anyhow, I'm not gonna, sit and edit this photo right now. What I will do is I'm gonna compress it all time-wise down so you can see my process. I used to record like the whole thing, which, so for example, this one, let's see, 25 minutes, 35 minutes, about an hour, another 45, and then hour and a half, but it's really probably an hour and 15. So this was about 3 hours of work, maybe 2.5 if you count time I was doing other stuff. So I recorded all that, and I'm not going to put a 2.5 hour video up, but I will compress the timeline of that to make it go by in a couple minutes, just so you can see my overall process. I did want to show you how this is organized though. So you'll see, so I'm using an artboard. My artboard is called Image. You guys may not be using an artboard, and that's fine. It's not a requirement for this project to use an artboard. You'll see I have some general adjustments to the overall image here, and then these are all my layers. Okay, I've got my originals layer, I've got my base layer, which had my edits and corrections for the actual image. Okay, for some reason this is, there we go. Okay, so this is where I actually, did the spot corrections to the image. Let's see if I can show you. And so you'll see it when I'm zoomed in at about 67%. You can see the changes I've made. Now, I could zoom in to like 300% and see a ton more dots and corrections to do, but we're not viewing the image of that size, so be really careful about getting too zoomed in when you're doing corrections. Some students tend to, zoom into like 300% and notice all these imperfections to fix and spend a lot of time doing this, but it's stuff that we don't even notice when we're viewing the image at the size we would normally view it as. So, try to stay at 100% or less as far as your zoom when you're doing corrections. Okay, so I've got a layer that has my corrections in it. I have a layer that has all the original images I've used. I have a layer that, a group for my background. I have a group for my frame and image. Okay, and then inside of that group are multiple other groups. So I have some level adjustments, hue saturation adjustments. I have my color group. Okay, I have a group for my frame, a group for the subject, and a group with the color. And even inside of color, I have multiple groups and layers. Okay, and this is just because I like to really stay organized. You should be using groups and layers. Make sure your layers are named. You probably won't have as many groups and layers as me. I don't expect that, but I do expect your files to be organized very similarly. And then what most people like to do with this is once they have their final edits done on the image, you can take all the layers that are making up your image, select them, duplicate them, and then what we can do with those layers is merge those layers together. So then you have one layer that has all of your corrections in it, and then you can, whatever you want to do to that as far as an overall levels adjustment, and maybe something like giving it a little bit of a darkened corners. The effect is escaping me right now. I'll figure out the name of it, but so that's something you can do to the overall image. And then you have your organized process here. What I want to see is the process. If you import layers that you don't end up using, all that stuff, you should be getting rid of those. Okay, so here we are about 5 minutes in. Let me just go ahead and let's just jump into watching the process of this. So next we'll see a very much speeded up version of my 3 hours of work to make this, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of feedback or gives you some ideas and input. Do let me know if you have any questions. Okay.